Welcome back to the Network Training course. This is Module 1 and we are looking at Principle 3, the local church, the hope for the world. We believe that the church is part of the solution for children at risk. To do this, we need to do two things. Support the local saints is the first of them. Viva has always had a heart to walk alongside the amazing saints who have responded to God's call to reach out to vulnerable children in their community, whatever the cost. These include often visionaries responding sacrificially to the injustices they see on their doorsteps, with courage and tenacity, often with very few resources and very little support from the local church or elsewhere. However, many burn out from the intensity and the emotional strain, and this is why they need someone to walk alongside them. The second thing is to strengthen the local church. In many places, the church is ignored or seen as irrelevant, and yet, when the individual efforts are put together, the church is usually the biggest provider of care for children in the city, and it's also the largest civil society grouping of all. Viva has a heart to empower the local church to be the force for change that it is meant to be, to have a greater impact in the lives of vulnerable children in their community, to work together to impact the wider city. The local body of believers is God's plan A for reaching vulnerable children. The local church is God's heart, God's ears, His eyes and hands. The local church is the hope of the world. We believe that the church is the only God-anointed agency in society that stewards the transforming message of the love of Christ. This is exactly why Viva supports the building of effective networks that brings the wider church together to be an amazing force for change for children, to bring in technical skills and enhance and strengthen the work. Why is the local church so important as a vehicle for change? Let's reflect on some key biblical principles. The first is 1 Corinthians 12:27, which teaches us about being a body. Now you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it. Our calling as Christians to be united with fellow Christians should be central to our understanding of how we are to work. Networks are not simply collectives or cooperatives, but we are parts of Christ's body. This changes and shapes everything we plan and aim to achieve. The Bible shows us God's desire for a family in which He can express His fatherly love. A picture is given to us in the New Testament of this family being the physical body, with the head being Jesus Christ. Every part of the body needs all of the other parts in order to be useful. This is what we aim for within our networks. The Bible also talks about the church as a house of worship in 1 Peter 2 verses 4 to 26. In this house, Christ is the foundation and each believer is a living stone. We preserve unity by serving each other and giving way to each other humbly. In our networks, we preserve unity through openness, trust, and submission. We may have to give up our own agendas in order to work for the shared vision. So as networks of Christians, we learn to rely on each other and support each other. We enjoy a sense of belonging that removes any sense of isolation that could come from working hard in difficult roles. We find sharing ideas leads to a stronger understanding of children's needs in our locality. This helps us to trust each other and develop a common vision that is on a much bigger scale than we could have conceived on our own. Just being together in this way helps remove the sense of tiredness and dangers of burnout. Our networks are there to help us face the greater challenges together because in the body, Christ is our strength and security. Secondly, we are called to be together in love. In Ephesians 5:21, we are called to submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Submission is not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. We fear that by working with others, our project will disappear. None of this needs to happen. We each have a unique calling from God, but as we open ourselves to working together, we will find ways to extend our own work and place it in a bigger framework. Philippians 2:3 tells us, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves." In this way, we will lay aside our individual goals and priorities. Thirdly, we are called to share ideas and prayers. Through coming together, we have the advantage of being of one mind while Christ is the head of the body. By sharing our ideas and thoughts, we will find that others have thoughts that complement ours. We also find sharing ideas and information leads to a stronger understanding of children's needs in a locality. Isolation can blind us to what is happening on our doorsteps. The power of united prayer cannot be overemphasized. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities in heavenly places. Paul writes in the book of Ephesians chapter 6. Petitioning the Lord in unity is often the only way for obstacles to be overcome. The unity of the network in prayer and support is critical for surviving difficult times. As we finish, here are 2 questions for you to reflect upon. First, what are you doing as a network to spend time praying together? What could you do? Or what could you add to what you are doing? The second is this: how are church leaders meeting together at the moment to talk about children? Is there anything the network could do to bring people together? Think about that and do something about it. Thank you very much.